In a small village on the outskirts of the kingdom, a young boy named Kofi lived a life of hardship. Orphaned at birth, he was raised by kind elders who told him stories of a time when Nyamiri was ruled with wisdom and justice. But that time was long gone. One fateful evening, warriors from Chief Bakar's palace raided the village, taking able-bodied men and boys as servants. Kofi, only 10 years old, was among those captured and brought to the palace. There he was assigned to the lowest tasks, sweeping floors, carrying water, and cleaning the chief's chambers. Despite his status, Kofi was quick-witted and observant. He often saw the chief retreat into a secret chamber at night, where he would play the great drum. Every time the chief struck it, a strange wind howled through the palace, and the shadows seemed to flicker with restless spirits. Kofi could feel something was terribly wrong. Years passed, and Kofi grew into a strong young man, his heart filled with resentment toward the chief who had destroyed his village. But there was one person who made his days bearable: Amara, the chief's daughter. Unlike her father, Amara had a kind heart, and she secretly helped the palace servants whenever she could. She and Kofi formed a forbidden friendship, speaking in hushed whispers about the suffering of the kingdom and the strange powers of the cursed drum. One evening, component placement as Kofi walked past the sacred chamber. Jabari was power-hungry and impatient, demanding to play the drum and take his place as the heir, but the chief refused. "You are not ready," Bakar warned. "The drum does not give power freely. It must be controlled." Frustrated, Jabari stormed out and saw Kofi standing nearby. His eyes narrowed in suspicion. "What are you doing here, servant?" Jabari sneered. "I was only passing by," Kofi replied carefully. Jabari smirked. He had long despised Kofi, jealous of how Amara admired him despite his low status. Seeing an opportunity, he turned to the guards. "Kofi was trying to steal the sacred drum," Jabari shouted. The guards seized Kofi before he could protest. He was dragged before the chief, where Jabari spun more lies, claiming he had seen Kofi sneaking into the chamber. The chief's face darkened with rage. "You dare to defile the most sacred relic of our kingdom?" Bakar growled. "The punishment is death." Kofi struggled against the guards. "I have done nothing wrong." "Jabari lies." Amara stepped forward. "Father, please. Kofi would never." "Enough," the chief roared. "He will be cast into the cave of lost souls. If he survives, then perhaps the gods will spare him." Kofi was thrown into a deep, dark chasm where the spirits of the cursed were said to dwell. It was a place where the wails of the lost echoed endlessly, and no one who entered ever returned. The cold air thick with whispers. Then a soft, familiar voice called his name. "Kofi." He turned and saw a ghostly figure, a woman with sorrowful eyes. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice shaking. The woman stepped forward, and realization struck Kofi like a thunderbolt. It was his mother. Tears welled in his eyes. "How are you here?" She placed a cold hand on his cheek. "My son, I was taken by the cursed drum. The chief, he played it, and my soul was taken. Many others before me suffered the same fate. You must stop him." Kofi's heart burned with rage. "How?" She pointed toward a small opening in the cave. "Escape, return to the palace, and play the drum not with greed, but with truth. Only then can the curse be broken." With newfound determination, Kofi climbed through the opening and emerged into the jungle. He ran faster than he had ever run before, back toward the palace. Kofi arrived at the palace just as a great ceremony was taking place. Chief Bakar was preparing to play the drum once more, with the entire kingdom watching. Summoning all his courage, Kofi stormed into the courtyard. "Stop!" he shouted. The crowd gasped. The chief's eyes widened in shock. "You dare return?" Jabari sneered. "Kill him, father!" But before the guards could act, Amara rushed forward. "Wait, let him speak." Kofi turned to the crowd. "Your chief has lied to you. This drum does not grant power. It takes life. It has stolen your mothers, fathers, and children, and it must end today." The people murmured in confusion. Chief Bakar scowled. "Lies!" He raised his hand to strike the drum. But Kofi lunged forward, grabbing the drumsticks. In that moment, he remembered his mother's words. "Play it with truth." He struck the drum once, twice, 3 times. A powerful wind howled through the palace. The sky darkened. The spirits trapped within the drums screamed, rising like a whirlwind around the chief. His eyes widened in horror as their vengeful hands reached for him. "No, I am your master," he cried. But the spirits showed no mercy. With one final, deafening wail, they dragged Chief Bakar into the drum. Forever. The kingdom fell silent. The curse was broken. Kofi dropped the drumsticks, breathing heavily. The people, realizing the truth, erupted in cheers. Amara ran to Kofi's side, tears in her eyes. "You did it," she whispered. Kofi looked around at his freed people, a new dawn breaking over Nyamari. "No," he said, "we did it." With the curse lifted, the kingdom chose Kofi as their new leader. He ruled with wisdom, kindness, and justice, never again allowing power to corrupt the land. And as for the cursed drum, it was burned, its ashes scattered to the wind, never to be used again. The people were happy and the village flourished across the lands.